In a galaxy where cosmic forces themselves decide who deserves power, Princess Zura Velthara stood as living proof that even the universe could be wrong. Born into the most advanced civilization in known space, she was the first royal in 10,000 years to be rejected by the cosmic resonance, the mystical force that granted her people their reality-bending abilities. Cast out, stripped of her birthright, and left to die in the void between stars, she thought her story had ended. She was wrong, because floating in that endless darkness, something impossible happened. A primitive species from a backwater world, creatures who couldn't even manipulate quantum fields or bend space-time, found her. Humans, they called themselves. And these strange beings, these cosmic impossibilities who had somehow clawed their way to the stars using nothing but metal and fire, did something that shook the very foundations of galactic order. They refused to let her die. What happened next would rewrite the laws of physics, challenge the cosmic hierarchy, and prove that sometimes the universe's greatest mistake is underestimating the species it overlooked. This is the story of how humanity's greatest weakness, their inability to touch the cosmic forces, became their ultimate strength, and how a rejected princess found a new family among the stars' most unlikely children. The crystalline spires of Velthara Prime stretched toward the binary suns like frozen lightning, each tower humming with the cosmic resonance that powered their civilization. Princess Zara stood at the viewing platform of the highest spire, watching the morning ritual as her people performed their daily communion with the universe itself. Below her, thousands of Veltharans raised their hands to the sky, their bodies glowing with ethereal energy as they synchronized their consciousness with the cosmic flow. She was the only one who remained dark. "Still nothing, Your Highness?" asked Kalen, her personal guardian, though his voice carried none of the hope it once held. 3 years had passed since her 16th birthday, 3 years since the awakening ceremony that should have connected her to the cosmic resonance like every other member of her species. 3 years of watching her glow fade a little more each day in the eyes of her people. Zara pressed her palm against the smooth wall of the spire, feeling nothing but cold crystal where others would sense the pulse of creation itself. "Nothing," she whispered, the word tasting like ash in her mouth. Around her wrist, the royal indicator remained stubbornly dark, a device that should have blazed with cosmic fire the moment her powers manifested. The sound of approaching footsteps made her turn. High Counselor Varek approached, his robes shimmering with barely contained energy, his expression grave. Behind him walked a figure that made Zara's blood run cold. The Cosmic Arbiter, the ancient being who served as the universe's voice in matters of divine judgment. Princess Zara, Varek's voice carried the weight of finality. "The Cosmic Council has reached its decision." She straightened her spine, drawing on every lesson in royal composure her tutors had drilled into her. She would face this with dignity, even if her heart felt like it was being torn apart. "I understand, High Counselor." The Cosmic Arbiter stepped forward, its form shifting between matter and energy, ancient beyond mortal comprehension. When it spoke, the words resonated directly in her mind, carrying the weight of cosmic law. "Zura Velthara, daughter of the stellar dynasty, the universe has spoken. You are void-touched, severed from the cosmic flow by forces beyond mortal understanding. Your continued presence among the resonant threatens the harmony of your people." "What are you saying?" Kalen stepped between Zara and the Arbiter, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon, a gesture both futile and touching, given that the Arbiter existed partially outside normal space-time. "She is to be exiled," Varek said quietly, his own voice betraying a hint of sorrow. "Cast out beyond our borders, beyond our influence, where her void touch cannot spread to others." Zara felt the floor disappear beneath her feet, though she remained standing. Exile for a Veltharan was worse than death. It meant being cut off not just from her people, but from the very energy that gave life meaning. "For how long?" she managed to ask. "Forever," the Arbiter replied. "The cosmos has rejected you, child. To remain would be to fight against the natural order itself. The next few hours passed in a blur of preparation and forced farewells. Her belongings were packed into a single travel pod, designed for short-range exploration, not permanent exile. Her parents, the Emperor and Empress, were notably absent. Their last act of mercy was not forcing her to see the shame in their eyes as she was cast out. Only Kalen accompanied her to the launch bay, his face a mask of barely controlled anger. "This is wrong," he said as they walked through corridors she had known since childhood. "You're still their princess, powers or no powers." "Am I?" Zara asked, pausing to look back at the crystal walls that had been her world. "Look at me, Kalen. Really look. I'm not like them anymore. Maybe I never was." In the launch bay, technicians loaded her pod with basic supplies, food, water recyclers, emergency medical supplies, all calculated to last exactly one standard month. After that, she would be on her own in the vast emptiness between stars. The message was clear: find somewhere else to die, and do it quietly. As Zara settled into the pilot's seat of her exile craft, Kalen gripped her hand through the closing canopy. "I'll find a way to bring you home," he promised, his eyes bright with unshed tears. She squeezed back, memorizing the feel of friendly contact for what might be the last time. "Take care of them for me," she whispered. "All of them." The launch sequence initiated automatically, removing any chance for second thoughts or dramatic rescues. Her pod lifted smoothly from the bay and accelerated toward the edge of Veltheran space, carrying her away from everything she had ever known. Through the rear display, she watched her homeworld shrink from a jewel of light to a distant star to nothing at all. For 7 days, she drifted through the void, rationing her food and trying not to think about the ever-decreasing numbers on her life support display. She had aimed for the edge of the galaxy, hoping to find some uninhabited world where she could live out whatever time remained to her. But space was vast, and her small craft was never designed for such distances. On the 8th day, everything went wrong. It started with a subtle tremor in the ship's hull, so slight she almost missed it. Then came the first impacts, micrometeorites, tiny fragments of space debris moving at tremendous velocity. Her craft's shields, powered by cosmic resonance like everything else in Veltheran technology, flickered and failed. Without her connection to the cosmic flow, she couldn't recharge them. "Emergency systems activating," the ship's AI announced in its maddeningly calm voice. "Hull breach detected in sections 4 through 7. Life support compromised. Estimated survival time: 4 hours, 17 minutes. Zara stared at the damage reports scrolling across her screen, each line of text a step closer to death. She had thought exile was her end, but apparently the universe had one more cruelty in store. She would die alone in the dark, her body eventually becoming just another piece of debris floating in the cosmic void. But as she prepared to record a final message, though for whom, she couldn't say, something appeared on her long-range sensors. A ship, unlike anything in her people's databases. It was crude, almost primitive, built from metal and ceramic instead of living crystal. No cosmic resonance signature at all, as if it were piloted by void-touched beings like herself. Hope flickered in her chest, quickly followed by despair. Even if she could signal them, why would they help her? She was nobody, nothing, a cosmic reject with no value to anyone. The strange ship moved closer, and she could see details now. Scarred hull plating, jutting weapon arrays, engines that glowed with simple fusion fire instead of reality-bending energy fields. Written across its hull in symbols she didn't recognize was what appeared to be a name: UES Defiance. Her communications array was damaged, but she managed to send out a basic distress signal, mathematical sequences, and star charts that any spacefaring species should recognize as a cry for help. For long minutes, nothing happened. Then, her ship shuddered as a docking clamp attached her hull. Through the viewport, she saw them approaching. Bipedal beings in bulky environmental suits, moving with purpose and surprising grace despite their primitive equipment. One of them peered through her canopy, and she found herself looking into the most expressive eyes she had ever seen. Brown eyes filled with concern and determination. The being, human, her mind supplied from some forgotten xenobiology lesson, began working on her airlock with tools that looked almost prehistoric compared to Veltheran technology. But they worked, cutting through her ship's hull with efficiency born of experience. When the emergency hatch finally opened and atmosphere rushed in, the first human she met was a woman with graying hair and laugh lines around her eyes. She pulled off her helmet and immediately began checking Zara's vital signs with scanning equipment that was somehow both crude and effective. "Easy there, kid," the woman said in accented Galactic common, her voice warm with kindness. "You're safe now. I'm Dr. Sarah Chun, and this is my crew. What's your name?" Zara tried to speak and found her voice failing. No one had spoken to her with such casual warmth in months. "I'm Zara. I am." She paused, realizing she no longer knew how to introduce herself. What was she now? "You're hurt and scared and alone," Dr. Chen said simply. "That's enough for now. We'll figure out the rest later." As they carefully extracted her from the dying pod, Zara caught sight of the human ship's interior. It was cramped, functional, filled with technology held together by what appeared to be determination and creative engineering. Everything was the wrong color, the wrong shape, nothing like the flowing organic curves of Veltheran design. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. "Captain Martinez will want to speak with you once you're stable," Dr. Chen said as she guided Zara to the medical bay. "But first, let's get some food in you and make sure you're not hurt worse than you look." "Why?" Zara asked suddenly. "Why are you helping me? You don't know me. I could be dangerous. I could be a criminal." Dr. Chen paused in her medical preparations and gave Zara a look of genuine confusion. "You were dying alone in space, kid. That's all we needed to know." As the human doctor continued her work, Zara felt something she hadn't experienced since her powers failed to manifest: acceptance. These strange, primitive beings hadn't asked about her royal bloodline, her cosmic resonance, or her spiritual connection to the universe. They had seen someone in need and acted without hesitation. For the first time since her exile, Princess Zara allowed herself to hope. The medical bay doors slid open, and another human entered, tall, weathered, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. Captain Elena Martinez moved with the confident stride of someone accustomed to command, but her expression was gentle as she looked at their unexpected guest. "Well," Captain Martinez said, pulling up a chair beside Zara's medical bed, "this is certainly not what we expected to find out here. You're a long way from any known shipping lanes, miss." "Just Zara," she said quickly, not yet ready to claim titles that might no longer be hers. "Just Zara," the captain repeated, nodding as if that were perfectly reasonable. "Well, just Zara. You're welcome aboard the Defiance. We're an exploration and rescue vessel, part of the Terran Space Command's Deep Space Initiative. And right now, you look like someone who could use both exploring and rescuing." "I don't understand," Zara said. "Terran? I've never heard of your species in any galactic databases." Captain Martinez and Dr. Chun exchanged a look. "That's because we're newcomers," Martinez explained. "Humanity only achieved interstellar travel 50 years ago. We're still introducing ourselves to the neighborhood." 50 years. The youngest spacefaring species Zara knew of had been traveling between stars for over 1,000 years. These humans were cosmic infants, barely out of their own gravity well. And yet they had technology, ships, organized space fleets. "How?" she whispered. "How did you reach the stars without cosmic resonance?" "Without what now?" Dr. Chen asked, and the genuine confusion in her voice made Zara's world shift on its axis. "You don't know about the cosmic resonance? The universal energy field that connects all sapient life." Captain Martinez leaned forward, suddenly very interested. "No, we don't. And I'm starting to think that might be more significant than we realized. 3 days aboard the UES Defiance had shattered every assumption Zara held about the universe and her place in it. She sat in the ship's observation lounge, watching stars will slowly pass the reinforced viewport while trying to process what she had learned. Around her, the human crew went about their duties with an efficiency that seemed impossible given their complete disconnection from cosmic forces. Lieutenant Commander Jack Torres, the ship's chief engineer, floated nearby in the reduced gravity section, tinkering with what appeared to be a quantum field generator. Without cosmic resonance to guide him, he relied purely on mathematical calculations and sensor readings, adjusting components through trial and error and intuitive understanding of physical principles. Still doesn't make sense to me, he was saying to Commander Yuki Tanaka, the ship's science officer, as they worked. According to everything we know about quantum mechanics, what she's describing should be impossible. Which part? Commander Tanaka asked, not looking up from her datapad. The fact that there's an invisible energy field connecting all sapient minds across the galaxy, or that most species use it to manipulate reality itself. All of it, Torres replied. But especially the reality manipulation bit. You can't just think matter into new configurations. Conservation of energy still applies, even if you're psychically connected to some cosmic force. Zara cleared her throat quietly. She had been listening to conversations like this for days now, watching the humans struggle to understand concepts that were as natural to her people as breathing. May I explain? Both humans turned to her with expressions of eager curiosity. It was another thing that amazed her about them, their complete lack of fear or suspicion when confronted with abilities they couldn't comprehend. Any other species would have either worshipped her or imprisoned her by now. The cosmic resonance doesn't violate your conservation laws, she said, moving to join them at their workstation. It's more like a universal interface. Imagine if every particle in the universe carried information about its state and its connections to every other particle. The resonance lets us access that information network and submit change requests. Torres frowned, his engineering mind clearly working through the implications. Change requests. The universe has to approve them, Zara continued. That's why reality manipulation requires training and discipline. You're essentially asking cosmic forces to reorganize matter and energy according to your will. Simple requests are usually approved, moving objects, generating light, basic transmutation. Complex changes require more skill and deeper cosmic connection. Commander Tanaka looked up from her pad, eyes bright with scientific excitement. That's why your technology is so organic-looking. You're not building machines so much as negotiating with universal forces to create living tools. Exactly, Zara said, warming to the subject despite herself. For so long, she had felt excluded from these discussions, the one person who couldn't participate in her society's fundamental assumptions about reality. With the humans, she could finally be the teacher instead of the disappointment. But what happens when the universe says no? Torres asked, what happens to someone like you, who can't access this network? The warmth fled from Zara's expression. They get exiled, she said simply, cast out to die alone in space, away from civilized society. The silence that followed was heavy with human emotion, anger, confusion, and something else that Zara was only beginning to recognize, protective indignation. That's monstrous, Commander Tanaka said finally. Exiling someone for a disability they can't control. It's not considered a disability, Zara replied. It's seen as cosmic rejection. The universe itself has judged me unworthy of connection. My continued presence among the resonant was thought to threaten the harmony of my people. Bullshit, Torres said flatly, his tone carrying the authority of someone who had spent his life making impossible technology work through sheer, stubborn determination. Cosmic rejection, my ass. You want to know what I think happened to you? Zara blinked in surprise. What? I think you won the genetic lottery, he said, returning to his work on the field generator. I think you're the first member of your species in 10,000 years to be born free. Before Zara could respond to that shocking statement, Captain Martinez's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. All senior staff to the bridge. We got incoming company, and it doesn't look friendly. The observation lounge quickly emptied as the crew rushed to battle stations, leaving Zara alone with her tumbling thoughts. Free? What could Torres possibly mean by that? She was powerless, disconnected, rejected by the very forces that gave meaning to existence. How could that possibly be freedom? But, as she made her way to the bridge, no one had told her to stay away. Another casual kindness that her own people never would have shown. She found herself thinking about the past few days. When had she last felt the crushing weight of cosmic disapproval? When had she last spent hours trying desperately to connect with forces that rejected her? Aboard this human ship, surrounded by beings who had never known cosmic resonance, she had simply been herself. The bridge was a controlled chaos of activity when she arrived. The main view screen showed two ships approaching on an intercept course, sleek, crystalline vessels that made her heart sink. Veltheran interceptors, designed for pursuit and capture. "They're hailing us," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communication station. "Audio only." "Put it through," Captain Martinez ordered, her voice calm despite the obvious tension on the bridge. The voice that filled the bridge carried the formal cadence of official authority. "Unknown vessel, you are harboring a criminal fugitive. Stand down and prepare to transfer Princess Zura Velthera to our custody immediately." Martinez glanced at Zura, who had gone pale at being called a criminal. "Princess?" the captain asked quietly. "Former princess," Zara whispered. "They exiled me." "Then what crime did you commit?" Martinez called out to the Veltheran ships. "The criminal's identity is not your concern, Primitive. You will comply or face the consequences of interfering with Veltheran justice." The casual dismissal in the alien voice made something cold and dangerous settle in Captain Martinez's expression. Around the bridge, her crew took on the same focused intensity that Zara had observed when they rescued her. Humans working together with ruthless efficiency. "Lieutenant Kim," Martinez said calmly, "please inform our visitors that this is a Terran Space Command vessel operating under galactic salvage law. Our passenger was rescued from a life-threatening situation in neutral space and is under our protection until she can be safely delivered to appropriate authorities." "They're powering weapons," reported the tactical officer. Cosmic resonance signatures spiking across both ships. Torres looked up from his engineering station with grim satisfaction. "Let them. I've been waiting to field test our new adaptive shielding." Zara watched in fascination as the human crew prepared for battle against technology they couldn't possibly understand. They had no cosmic resonance to power reality-bending weapons or probability-shifting defenses. Their ship was built from ordinary matter using conventional physics. By every law of galactic warfare, they were hopelessly outmatched. So why wasn't she afraid? "Zara," Captain Martinez called softly, drawing her attention. "I need to know, are these people legally justified in taking you?" The question hit her like a physical blow. Legal justification? No one had asked her opinion about her own exile. No trial had been held, no evidence presented, no defense allowed. The cosmic resonance had rejected her, and that was sufficient for the Cosmic Council to pass judgment. I don't know," she admitted. "By their laws, yes. By galactic law." She paused, realizing she had never actually researched galactic law regarding cosmic rejection. Why would she? Everyone knew the cosmic resonance was the ultimate authority. "That's what I thought," Martinez said grimly. "Mr. Torres, how's our defensive grid?" "Adaptive shielding online and ready," he replied. "Fair warning, Captain, we're about to find out if human engineering can stand up to space magic." The first attack came without further warning. Beams of pure cosmic energy lanced through space, carrying enough destructive force to atomize a small moon. They struck the Defiance's shields and simply stopped. Zara stared in disbelief as the reality-warping weapons of her people met human technology and failed to penetrate. On the tactical display, she could see the Veltheran ship's weapons officers frantically recalibrating their systems, unable to understand why their cosmic-powered attacks weren't working. "Ow," she whispered. "Adaptive technology," Commander Tanaka explained, monitoring the shield generators from her science station. "We can't manipulate cosmic forces, so we had to get creative. Our shields don't try to block incoming energy. They analyze it, adapt to it, and redirect it harmlessly. It's like cosmic martial arts," Torres added with obvious pride. "Use the enemy's force against them." The Veltheran ships pressed their attack, cycling through different types of cosmic manipulation. Matter disintegration rays, probability distortion fields, reality anchor weapons that tried to lock the human ship in place by convincing the universe it couldn't move. Each attack was analyzed, adapted to, and neutralized by systems that shouldn't have been able to function without cosmic resonance. "This is impossible," Zara breathed. "Your technology violates every principle of advanced civilization." "Yeah," Captain Martinez said with grim satisfaction as the Defiance's conventional weapons began returning fire. "That's what makes us dangerous." The human ship's response was brutally simple. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, guided by sophisticated targeting computers that calculated trajectories using pure mathematics. No cosmic intuition, no reality manipulation, just physics applied with ruthless precision. The first Veltheran interceptors' cosmic shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and exotic attacks. They were not prepared for chunks of super-dense metal moving at relativistic speeds. The ship's crystalline hull cracked like an eggshell, and its cosmic resonance fields destabilized, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. The second interceptor's pilot apparently decided discretion was the better part of valor. "Unknown vessel," came the transmission. "You have made a grave error. The Cosmic Council will hear of this attack on rightful authority." "Looking forward to it," Martinez replied cheerfully. "Please give them our compliments, and let them know that humanity would be happy to discuss the legal status of exile proceedings that violate galactic due process standards." As the remaining Veltheran ship retreated, dragging its damaged companion with tractor beams, Zara found herself staring at the humans around her with new understanding. They weren't primitive. They weren't cosmic infants stumbling around a universe they couldn't comprehend. They were free. "Captain," she said quietly, her voice carrying a new tone of certainty, "I request formal asylum under Terran protection." Martinez turned to study her, and Zara saw something in the captain's eyes that she had never seen before. Respect. Not the careful courtesy shown to royal bloodlines, not the pity offered to the cosmically rejected, but simple human respect for someone making a difficult choice. "Asylum from what charges?" Martinez asked formally. "Exile without trial for the crime of existing without cosmic resonance," Zara replied, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Condemnation by supernatural forces that may not have my best interests at heart." "Asylum granted," Martinez said immediately. "Welcome to the human family, Zara. Fair warning. We're a chaotic bunch, and we don't always know what we're doing. But we've got you back." As the crew began celebrating their victory over superior technology, Zara felt something unprecedented. She felt like she belonged. Not because of bloodlines or cosmic connections or mystical forces beyond her control. She belonged because she had chosen to belong, and they had chosen to accept her. For the first time in her life, she was exactly where she wanted to be. But their problems were far from over. The Veltheran ships had retreated, but they would be back. And next time, they wouldn't come alone. The cosmic powers that ruled the galaxy would not tolerate this challenge to their authority. Humanity was about to learn that there were forces in the universe older and more powerful than anything they had yet encountered. And Zara was about to discover that her rejection by cosmic forces might not have been a punishment at all. It might have been preparation for something far more important. The real test was yet to come. 6 weeks after the confrontation with the Veltheran interceptors, Zara stood in the hydroponics bay of Terra Station, watching human children play among the growing vegetables. Their laughter echoed off the curved walls as they chased each other through the carefully tended rows, their joy undiminished by the massive alien fleet currently massing at the edge of the solar system. 17 different species, she murmured to Commander Tanaka, who was helping her catalog the various alien warships for the Defense Planning Committee. The Cosmic Council has called in favors from across half the galaxy. All to retrieve one exile? Tanaka asked, her scientific mind clearly struggling with the scale of the response. All to make an example, Zara corrected grimly. Humanity has challenged the cosmic order. The Council cannot allow that precedent to stand, or other species might start questioning their authority. Through the transparent aluminum viewing port, the assembled fleet looked like a constellation of angry stars. Crystalline dreadnoughts from the Zephyrian Empire, living ships from the bio-collectives of Kepler-9, reality anchors from the Psi-Lords of the Outer Rim. Each vessel was a masterwork of cosmic resonance technology, capable of reshaping matter and energy according to their crew's collective will. Against them, humanity could muster perhaps 36 ships, none larger than a heavy cruiser, all built from ordinary matter and powered by conventional physics. The odds don't look good, Tanaka observed with the calm understatement that Zara had come to recognize as quintessentially human. They're worse than you know, Zara replied. These aren't just warships. They're carrying cosmic arbiters, beings that exist partially outside normal space-time. They can rewrite local physics to favor their allies and disadvantage their enemies. Rewrite physics. Tanaka's eyes lit up with the dangerous gleam of a scientist encountering an interesting problem. How? They convince the universe that different rules apply, Zara explained. Your kinetic weapons might suddenly find that momentum conservation doesn't work the same way. Your fusion reactors might discover that nuclear binding energy has been temporarily adjusted. Your ships might learn that they're actually made of a less durable material than they thought they were. That's... Tanaka paused, clearly searching for an appropriate response. That's cheating. Despite everything, Zara found herself smiling. Yes, it is. The two women turned as the bay doors slid open to admit Captain Martinez and a tall, imposing woman in the uniform of a Terran Space Command Admiral. Admiral Sarah Chun, Dr. Chin's older sister, Zara had learned, commanded the Seoul Defense Force with the same calm competence that seemed to run in the family. Zara, Admiral Chin said without preamble, we need to know about cosmic arbiters. Everything you can tell us. They moved to a secure briefing room where the senior command staff had assembled. The faces around the table represented the best military minds humanity had to offer. Admiral Chun, Captain Martinez, General Patricia Hayes from the Terra Marine Corps, and Admiral Yosuke Nakamura, commander of the Deep Space Fleet. The cosmic arbiters are ancient, Zara began, calling up her memories of royal education sessions. They predate most current galactic civilizations by millions of years. Some scholars believe they're remnants of the first species to achieve cosmic resonance, evolved beyond physical form into pure consciousness. Pure consciousness that can manipulate physical laws, General Hayes said. Wonderful. How do you fight something like that? You don't, Zara replied simply. No one fights cosmic arbiters. They are considered the ultimate authority on matters of cosmic law. Their word is literally universal law. The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of seemingly impossible odds. Zara had seen that expression on human faces before, the same look they had worn when facing the Veltheran interceptors. It was the look of people who had just been told something was impossible and were busy figuring out how to do it anyway. What about their weaknesses? Admiral Nakamura asked. Everything has weaknesses. Even gods have blind spots. Zara considered the question carefully. They're creatures of pure cosmic resonance, she said slowly. They exist within the universal energy network, drawing their power from the same forces that connect all sapient minds. That's what makes them so powerful. They're plugged directly into the fundamental operating system of reality. But, Captain Martinez prompted, sensing there was more. But they're also limited by it, Zara continued, the idea forming as she spoke. They can only exist where cosmic resonance is strong. They can only act through the established protocols of universal law. They're incredibly powerful, but they're also incredibly structured. Commander Tanaka leaned forward, her scientist's instincts engaged. You're saying they're like administrators of some vast computer system, powerful within their area of authority, but constrained by the rules of the system itself. Exactly, Zara said, excitement growing in her voice. And humans exist outside that system entirely. The implications hung in the air like a live electrical wire. Admiral Chun was the first to voice what they were all thinking. You're suggesting we might be invisible to them. Not invisible, Zara corrected, but unrecognizable. The Cosmic Resonance Network was designed to connect sapient minds to universal forces. Humanity never connected to it. You're like users who never logged into the system. The Arbiters can see your effects, but they can't understand your nature. Ghosts in the machine, Admiral Nakamura said quietly. More like viruses. General Hayes corrected with grim humor. Unauthorized processes running outside the established parameters. Over the next several hours, they refined their understanding of the situation. The Cosmic Council's fleet wasn't just there to retrieve Zara or punish humanity for their interference. They were there to eliminate what they saw as a cosmic anomaly, a species that had achieved interstellar civilization without proper authorization from universal forces. But humanity's disconnection from cosmic resonance, their reliance on conventional physics and stubborn engineering, might also be their greatest advantage. The Arbiters couldn't simply declare human technology non-functional because it had never depended on cosmic approval in the first place. It's like trying to debug code that was written in a completely different programming language, Torres explained as he worked on modifications to the defense grid. They can see what we're doing, but they can't understand our methods well enough to counter them effectively. The test came 3 days later when the alien fleet entered the outer solar system. The first wave consisted of Zephyrian crystal ships, their hulls singing with harmonic frequencies that could shatter molecular bonds across interplanetary distances. They swept toward the asteroid belt where the human defense fleet waited, confident in their cosmic superiority. Zara watched from the command center on Terra Station as the battle unfolded across multiple displays. The human ships looked impossibly small against the alien dreadnoughts, but they moved with precise coordination, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible for conventionally powered vessels. Adaptive formations, Admiral Chun explained as she watched the tactical display. We can't match their firepower, so we're focusing on speed and unpredictability. Make them waste shots on targets that aren't where they think they should be. The Zephyrian harmonic weapons lanced out across space, capable of shattering asteroids with precise frequency attacks. But the human ships weren't where the targeting computers expected them to be. Their conventional drives produced thrust patterns that cosmic resonance couldn't predict, following trajectories that violated the expected harmony of space combat. Their weapons are missing, Zara observed in amazement. They're firing at where cosmic resonance says the ships should be, not where they actually are. Chaos theory in action, Torres commented with satisfaction. Small changes in initial conditions leading to completely unpredictable results. But the real shock came when the cosmic arbiters themselves entered the battlefield. 3 beings of pure energy, existing partially outside normal space-time, their presence warping reality around them like gravity wells in the fabric of existence. Space twisted where they passed, and several human ships found themselves caught in fields where physics worked differently. Zara watched in horror as the TSC cruiser Endeavour suddenly began moving backward despite its engines firing forward. Another ship, the destroyer Relentless, found its hull plating spontaneously converting to a less durable material, compromising its structural integrity. They're rewriting local physics, she explained to the command staff. That's how they enforce cosmic law. They convince the universe to work differently in specific areas. Can they affect the entire battlefield? Admiral Chen asked. No, Zara replied, thinking quickly. They're powerful, but they have to focus their attention. They can only alter physics in limited areas at any given time. On the tactical display, they could see the human fleet adapting in real time. Ships caught in reality distortion fields would execute emergency jumps to normal space, while their companions moved to exploit gaps in the alien formation. It was messy, chaotic, and completely unpredictable, exactly what cosmic resonance couldn't account for. "Admiral," came a voice from the communication station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Cosmic Council fleet. They want to speak with the person in charge." Admiral Chun straightened her uniform and nodded to the communications officer. "Put it through." The main view screen filled with an image that made Zara's blood run cold. High Counselor Varek, the same being who had pronounced her exile, stood on the bridge of a massive crystal dreadnought. Behind him, the outline of a cosmic arbiter shimmered with barely contained energy. "Humans of Terra," Varek's voice carried the weight of cosmic authority. "You have interfered with lawful cosmic judgment and harbored a being rejected by universal forces. Surrender the exile Zura Velthara and submit to Cosmic Council authority, and your species will be granted mercy." Admiral Chin's response was delivered in the calm, professional tone of someone who had spent decades dealing with impossible situations. "High Counselor, this is Admiral Sarah Chun, commanding officer of the Soul Defense Force. Princess Zara has requested asylum under Terran law, which we have granted. If you have legal objections to our actions, we suggest you file them through appropriate diplomatic channels." The silence from the alien fleet was profound. Behind Varek, Zara could see other alien commanders looking confused, as if they couldn't quite process what they had just heard. The concept of refusing cosmic authority was literally outside their ability to comprehend. "You do not understand," Varek said finally, his voice carrying a note of what might have been confusion. "The cosmic arbiters speak with the voice of the universe itself. There is no higher authority. Maybe not in your part of the galaxy," Admiral Chen replied calmly. "But out here in the Sol system, we make our own rules." What followed was perhaps the first theological argument conducted in the middle of a space battle. While human and alien ships continued their deadly dance among the asteroids, Varek attempted to explain concepts of cosmic authority to beings who fundamentally didn't accept the premise. Admiral Chun, in turn, tried to convey ideas of individual sovereignty and legal due process to creatures who had never imagined that universal law could be questioned. "You are cosmically insignificant," Varek finally declared in frustration. "You have no connection to the forces that govern reality. How can you possibly claim the right to judge cosmic law?" "Because someone has to," Admiral Chun replied simply. "And if the universe won't do it properly, we will." The declaration seemed to hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. On the tactical display, Zara could see ships actually recoiling from the human positions, as if the very idea of challenging cosmic authority was too dangerous to contemplate. But the cosmic arbiters were made of sterner stuff. The three beings of pure energy began moving directly toward Terra Station, their presence causing space itself to buckle and twist. They were coming to end the argument in the most direct way possible, by eliminating the source of cosmic heresy. "All ships fall back to final defensive positions," Admiral Chen ordered. "Protect the station at all costs." As the human fleet regrouped for the final battle, Zara felt something she had never experienced before. Not fear for her own safety, not despair at impossible odds, but fierce determination to protect the people who had given her a home. These strange, impossible humans had shown her what freedom meant, and she would not let cosmic tyrants take that away from them. The final confrontation was about to begin, and everything she had ever believed about the nature of universal authority was about to be put to the ultimate test. The three cosmic arbiters moved through space like living nightmares, their forms shifting between energy and something beyond matter, warping reality simply by existing. Around them, the laws of physics became suggestions, and the fundamental forces of the universe bent to their will. Stars dimmed in their presence, and space itself groaned under the weight of their cosmic authority. Zara stood in the primary command center of Terra Station, watching the tactical displays with growing dread. The human fleet had formed a defensive perimeter around the station, but their conventional weapons seemed pitiful against beings that existed partially outside normal reality. Already, 2 destroyers had been caught in temporal distortion fields, their crews aging years and seconds. A third ship found itself trying to navigate space where gravity worked in reverse. "They're not just powerful," she said to Admiral Chun, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. "They're fundamental forces of cosmic law-given consciousness. Fighting them isn't like fighting ships or armies. It's like fighting the universe itself." "Then, it's a good thing we never asked the universe for permission," Admiral Chen replied calmly, her attention focused on the incoming reports from the fleet. "Admiral Nakamura, status report." The Deep Space Fleet commander's voice crackled through the communications array, distorted by the reality fluctuations surrounding the arbiters. "Our conventional weapons are having minimal effect. The beings seem to be able to convince local space that our projectiles don't exist. Energy weapons are being redirected into pocket dimensions. Recommendations?" Before Admiral Chun could respond, the station shuddered as one of the arbiters turned its attention toward them. Through the observation ports, Zara could see space itself bending around Terra Station, reality warping like heated glass. Emergency klaxons began sounding as gravitational fields fluctuated wildly. "They're trying to convince the universe that Terra Station is located somewhere else," Commander Tanaka reported from her science station, her voice steady despite the impossible readings on her instruments. "They're attempting to edit us out of local space-time." "Countermeasures?" Admiral Chen asked. "We're anchoring ourselves with gravitational generators," Torres replied, his engineering team working frantically to maintain the station's position. "But they're not going to hold for long against this level of reality manipulation." That was when Zara realized something that made her heart race with sudden hope. "Admiral," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos of damage reports and tactical updates. "I need to speak with the arbiters directly." "Absolutely not," Admiral Chen said immediately. "These beings just sentenced your entire species to exile. I'm not letting you anywhere near them." "They sentenced me to exile for cosmic rejection," Zara corrected, her mind working through possibilities that had never occurred to her before. But what if the cosmic rejection wasn't random? What if it was purposeful preparation? Around the command center, human officers paused in their work to listen. Even in the middle of an impossible battle against cosmic forces, they were willing to hear new ideas. "Explain," Admiral Chen ordered. "The cosmic resonance connects all sapient minds to universal forces," Zara said quickly, her thoughts racing ahead of her words. "But connection means dependency. Every species that uses cosmic resonance is ultimately subject to cosmic authority. Humans never connected, so humans are free. We've established that," Torres said, not looking up from his gravitational controls. "What's your point?" "My point is that I was born into a species with cosmic resonance, but I can't access it," Zara continued. "I exist in a unique position. I understand both perspectives. I know how cosmic authority works, but I'm not subject to it." "You think you can negotiate with them?" General Hayes asked skeptically. "I think I can ask them a question they've never been asked before," Zara replied. "I think I can challenge the fundamental assumption that cosmic authority is legitimate." The station shuddered again as reality continued to bend around them. Through the tactical displays, they could see the human fleet struggling against forces that shouldn't exist, their conventional technology pushed to its absolute limits against beings that rewrote physics at will. Admiral Chen studied Zara's face for a long moment, then nodded grimly. "Do it. But if this goes wrong..." "If this goes wrong, we're all dead anyway," Zara finished. "Open a channel to the cosmic arbiters." The main view screen filled with an image that no mortal being had ever seen before, the direct manifestation of cosmic authority itself. The 3 arbiters appeared as shifting patterns of energy and possibility, their forms suggesting rather than depicting the vast consciousness behind them. When they spoke, their words resonated directly in the minds of everyone listening, carrying the weight of universal law. Insignificant child. The central arbiter's voice seemed to come from the fabric of space itself. You have been judged and found wanting. Your continued existence violates the cosmic order. Then, the cosmic order is flawed, Zara replied, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was saying. I request a formal challenge to cosmic authority under the law of universal jurisdiction. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the reality distortions around Terra Station seemed to pause as the arbiters processed her words. The law of universal jurisdiction was ancient, older even than the Cosmic Council, enshrined in the fundamental structure of galactic civilization. It stated that any sapient being had the right to challenge cosmic law if they could demonstrate that the universe itself was acting unjustly. Impossible, the second arbiter declared, its form flickering with what might have been uncertainty. No being has invoked the law of universal jurisdiction in over 1,000,000 years. The cosmic order is perfect. No, it isn't, Zara said, and her voice carried a new quality, not just defiance, but absolute certainty. The cosmic order is a tyranny disguised as natural law, and I can prove it. Around her, the human command staff listened in fascination as their adopted daughter challenged the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization. This was what they had given her. Not just protection, but the confidence to stand up to forces that considered themselves absolute. Speak your challenge, the third arbiter commanded, its voice carrying undertones of cosmic forces beyond mortal comprehension. The cosmic resonance is presented as a universal force that connects all sapient life. Zara began, her words carrying the formal cadence of royal education applied to revolutionary thought. But humanity proves this is false. Sapient life can exist and thrive without cosmic resonance. Therefore, cosmic resonance is not universal, is a choice. Humans are an anomaly, the first arbiter countered, an aberration to be corrected. Humans are evidence that the cosmic order is incomplete, Zara continued relentlessly. And if cosmic resonance is a choice rather than a universal requirement, then cosmic authority is illegitimate. You rule not through natural law, but through the threat of force against those who choose differently. The space around Terra Station began to buckle and twist more violently as the arbiters struggled with concepts that challenged their fundamental existence. They were beings of pure cosmic resonance, creatures whose entire nature was built on the assumption that universal forces were inherently legitimate. The idea that their authority might be questioned was literally outside their programming. Furthermore, Zara pressed on, sensing their confusion, your treatment of void-touched individuals like myself proves your injustice. You exile those who cannot access cosmic resonance, not because they are dangerous, but because their existence questions your authority. A just universe would accommodate all forms of consciousness, not just those that conform to established patterns. The cosmic order must be maintained, the second arbiter said, but its voice lacked the certainty it had carried before. Why? Zara asked simply. By what authority? You claim to speak for the universe, but the universe has never spoken for itself. You enforce laws that you created, not natural principles. You are not cosmic authority. You are cosmic tyrants. The accusation hit the arbiters like a physical blow. Their forms began to destabilize, shifting between states of matter and energy as they processed the fundamental challenge to their existence. Around them, the reality distortions became chaotic, no longer directed, but random, as if the universe itself was struggling with the concepts being presented. Prove your claim, the third arbiter demanded, its voice carrying desperation masked as command. If you would challenge cosmic authority, prove that alternative order is possible. I already have, Zara replied, gesturing toward the human fleet and Terra Station around her. Humanity is my proof. They have achieved interstellar civilization, complex technology, social order, and ethical behavior without cosmic resonance. They prove that sapient life can create its own meaning, its own order, its own justice without supernatural oversight. Moreover, she continued, her voice growing stronger with each word, they prove that cosmic authority is not only unnecessary, but actively harmful. When they found me dying in space, exiled by cosmic judgment, they saved me. When cosmic law demanded my surrender, they protected me. They chose compassion over cosmic authority, and the result was not chaos, but justice. The Arbiter's forms continued to destabilize as they processed the philosophical impossibility of their situation. They were beings created to enforce cosmic law, but they had just been presented with evidence that cosmic law itself might be unjust. Their existence depended on the assumption of universal order, but universal order had just been revealed as potentially tyrannical. What happens now is your choice, Zara said, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had finally found her purpose. You can continue to enforce arbitrary cosmic law through threat of force, proving yourselves to be exactly the tyrants I have named you. Or you can acknowledge that the universe is large enough for multiple forms of consciousness, multiple types of order, multiple definitions of justice. The silence stretched for minutes that felt like hours. Around Terra Station, the human fleet maintained its defensive positions, their conventional technology a visible reminder that cosmic resonance was not the only path to the stars. In the command center, human officers waited to see whether their philosophical revolution would be accepted or crushed. Finally, the Central Arbiter spoke, its voice carrying a quality none of them had heard before: uncertainty. The law of universal jurisdiction has been invoked and substantiated. Cosmic authority acknowledges that alternative forms of order may exist. The admission seemed to cause physical pain to the cosmic beings, their forms flickering as they struggled with concepts that challenged their fundamental nature. Princess Zura Violthura, the second arbiter, continued, your exile is rescinded. You are free to choose your own path. Humanity of Terra, the third arbiter said, your sovereignty is acknowledged. Cosmic authority will not interfere with your chosen order. As the words were spoken, the reality distortions around Terra Station began to fade. The gravitational anomalies smoothed out, space-time returned to its normal configuration, and the oppressive weight of cosmic judgment lifted from human space. But Zura wasn't finished. She had one more point to make, one more challenge to cosmic assumption. I formally decline restoration of my royal title, she said clearly. I choose to remain with humanity, not as an exile seeking redemption, but as a free being making her own choices. I choose this family, this life, this path, not because cosmic forces compel it, but because it is right. The declaration seemed to resonate through space itself, carrying the weight of philosophical revolution. For the first time in galactic history, someone had not just been freed from cosmic judgment. They had chosen freedom over cosmic status. As the Cosmic Council fleet began its withdrawal, moving away from the Sol system with the careful dignity of beings who had just had their entire worldview challenged, Admiral Chun placed a gentle hand on Zara's shoulder. Welcome home, she said simply. 1 year later, Zara stood in the diplomatic section of Terra Station, helping to draft the first formal treaty between humanity and the reformed Cosmic Council. The negotiations were complex, involving concepts of sovereignty, jurisdiction, and mutual recognition that had never been tested in galactic politics. But the most important change was simpler and more profound. Across the galaxy, void-touched individuals, those born without cosmic resonance, were no longer automatically exiled. Species after species began to question the assumption that cosmic authority was absolute, and the universe slowly began to accommodate forms of consciousness that didn't fit established patterns. Any regrets? Captain Martinez asked, joining Zara at the observation port, where she watched human ships moving freely through space that had once been forbidden to them. None, Zara replied, and realized with quiet satisfaction that it was absolutely true. I spent my entire childhood trying to connect with forces that had rejected me. I never realized that rejection might have been preparation for something better. Better how? Zara smiled, watching a group of human children play in the station's Central Park. Children who would grow up in a universe where cosmic authority was questioned rather than absolute, where freedom was chosen rather than granted. Better because it's ours, she said simply. Better because we built it ourselves. Outside the viewport, the stars shone with the light of possibility, and the universe itself seemed a little more free than it had been before. The young princess who had been rejected by cosmic forces had found something infinitely more valuable than divine approval. She had found her family among the stars, and together they had changed the galaxy forever. In the end, the universe's greatest mistake hadn't been rejecting her. It had been underestimating what she would become when she found the one species stubborn enough to reject the universe right back. And in the deep void between stars, where exile ships had once drifted alone and forgotten, new beacons now guided lost souls toward sanctuary, toward worlds where cosmic authority was just one option among many, where freedom was a choice rather than a gift, and where being different was not a crime, but a strength. The age of absolute cosmic authority was ending, and the age of chosen family had begun.